DRC, this is Tac 2.
This is Mushu.
And the legend formerly known as Jeremy from the Death Rattle crew.
And you're listening to Concede. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 80 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. My name is Kenny, and I go by KCCO Gamer. And all the way from Thunder Bluff, Louisiana, we have Cinder. Cinder, what's new?
I have exited my orbit and returned to the surface of the planet.
Welcome back.
I'm fine.
Good to have you.
Awesome. And all the way from Undercity, Georgia, we have Appa. Appa, what's up?
I was getting some entertainment watching Cinder tilt off the actual face of the earth.
All right. And also joining us from Gadgets and New York, we have Ridiculous Hat. Hat, how ridiculous are you?
The normal amount? I don't think it's changed too much. And I was not getting entertainment. I was genuinely concerned for Cinder until he's like, "This is how I am. This is who I am."
For those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
Cinder had a nice little ladder session last night. It was last night, right? Or was that today?
Yeah. It was. Well, technically, it was today.
Okay, so late last night, where he just got absolutely steamrolled over and over again with mid-range hunter, and he got sent into orbit. It was amazing.
I screenshotted the hands that I was getting game after game. You have to see them to believe them. Like, I had to stop my session and go to my deck list and make sure that I had remembered to include any card less than 4 mana cost in my deck because they weren't showing up.
Just start the game with Hemet Jungle Hunter.
Like, where did this come from? I don't know. I do not have him at Jungle Hunter. No, it's like Savannah Highmane and 2 Infernal Infested Wolves. Okay. I guess I don't play any cards until turn 4 and lose. Anyway.
For anyone listening at home, if you ever go into the deck builder to verify that your deck does have early drops, do yourself a favor. Don't do what Cinder did. Just close the client. Don't go back into play mode.
It's true.
That is what I have Overwatch for.
Yes.
Just all right. I'm sad now. I'm gonna go shoot some people.
I like that, but context is pretty important. Shoot people in a video game.
In a video game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously. Clearly.
All right, so shall we get Cinder out of the way with details on this ladder this week?
I actually did really well on ladder, which is kind of the reason that I kind of tilted a little bit, because I think I was at 12 or 13 last week, and I'd peaked at 7 yesterday, because I've just been kind of tinkering with different deck builds and learning some new deck builds that I don't know yet, because I want to prepare as much as possible for DreamHack. And after I'd peaked at 7, like, the meta shifted very, very quickly, and mid-range hunter started to not be very good, and it showed. So I ended up tumbling back down to 9, which is not really that bad. I still like where I am. It just was bad beat after bad beat last night. So, but continuing to climb. More focused on learning decks than I am about climbing, but if I hit rank 5 in the process, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I was at. I was avoiding ladder just because I knew I didn't have much time, and I've been, over the last 3 days or so, I've played 4 total games to continue my win streak to rank 10. So now I can just play around with and get stuff done, my quests, and try those different decks I've been wanting to try, like Silence Priest, and yeah, should be lots of fun. There are a couple of rogue decks I want to try too, but I feel like if I want a ladder, I'm gonna end up playing some Taunt or Quest Warrior.
That's a good deck.
Yeah, so not much playing for me this week. It's been pretty busy. Personally, my wife got an opportunity and has been working later, so it's been pretty hectic trying to get everything picked up around to get stuff done while I can, and then just no time to do anything. So hopefully I'll get to playing a little bit more recently and I'll have more to talk about next week. So, Appa, how about you?
Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of DreamHack Austin testing. So much. I am incredibly tired right now because couldn't fall asleep till like 5 hours after I laid in bed last night, and I'm pretty sure at least half of that time was spent just thinking about decks and deck lists. And I'm sitting around rank 5 right now. I keep climbing a little bit and then falling back down because I keep switching deck archetypes and then tinkering with them until they're good. And then once they're good and serviceable, then I move on to the next one. Like a mechanic, I get the car rolling. I'm like, all right, get out of the shop. Next one. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Just a bunch of testing.
Nice. And Hat, I've seen you've posted a lot of different decks recently.
Oh boy, yeah. So when Appa tells me it's not too late to get help, you know there's a problem. I have this thing that happens to me. You know the card Loot Hoarder? When new sets come out, I become Decklist Hoarder. And I currently have an Imager album of deck lists that is currently right around 60 lists from the beginning of the set, just collected. It's a real problem, and I'm looking into getting a therapist. But in the meantime, Hearthstone is fantastic right now. I've been really enjoying the game. Maybe I don't know if I've ever enjoyed the game this much. And I'm hovering around rank 2, which might have something to do with it. But I've been trying out a whole bunch of different lists. I've been trying out Aggro Token Druid, which is really cool. Aggro Burn Mage seems really, really good because Ice Block is an amazing card, and now you get to go get it out of your deck. And I've been playing Quest Rogue. Please don't judge me. We'll talk a lot about that later. But I want to learn the new hotness, and I'm not going to say that I mentioned it last week, but I might have mentioned it last week. So yeah, it's Ladder's great, Hearthstone's great, Life's great, and I've been on vacation this whole time, so I haven't gotten to play as much as I've wanted to. So I'm gonna hopefully not quite hit Appa levels of Ladder dedication, but hopefully come close.
Oh man, I haven't even started. Like, whenever I get into like serious testing, I'll have rolled over like the 100 gold like limit that you get at least 6 times a day.
Oh boy,
it's like 12 plus hours a day. Like leading up to a tournament is a lot.
That's impressive.
On the serious time.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm sure after DreamHack you will see me on not Hearthstone for a while.
Yeah.
I have high expectations for you. Let's put it that way.
I have high expectations for myself, which is why I am a masochist.
Also why you're on an esports team.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So actually, I'm going to leave this point. We're going to add something different. So every week, we're going to talk a little bit about some of our coaching. So while those kind of remember our coaching this week, I will say if you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/CoinConcede. And if you're $10 or more, you get a coaching. Go check out the different rewards you get there. You still get rewards even below $10. So it's definitely worth checking out. And I'm going to ask Cinder. Cinder, did we come up with a something we're going to mention this week or is it once a month? Once a week? Once a month?
A new design once every month, beginning of the month for the store. But the shirt right now is $29 for sure. Go get it.
All right. Did any of you have coaching this week?
Yes.
All right. How'd it go?
I guess I'm first.
Yeah.
So I had two coaching sessions, although one was kind of a 1.5, and I owe him a little bit more. The first one, Sir Slips, he wanted to get some help deck building with the new cards, and he wanted to do a Quest Priest, and I was more than happy to help him with that because I like that deck. So we built one, and we started to play it a little bit, and then it was also the day of release. So we cut it short, and he got on stream with me and open packs with me, and then we got on Kenny's stream and open packs with Kenny. It was a lot of fun. So I still owe you a little bit, Slips. We'll sit some more ladder time with that. And then Monday night, I coached Starlax. he wanted to get mid-range Hunter. He knows that I like Hunter, and he likes Hunter, and he's like, I need some help with this Hunter. So we talked about tech choices and the dangers of teching. I pointed out some learning moments where he can pick up reads on what the opponent has in his hand. That seems to be a common thread this week. And he got from rank 1 or rank 4 1-star to rank 4 3-stars in a 50-minute session. So I would say that is really good progress. So he seemed good, seemed fun.
Nice. And anybody else? I have mine saved because I've been busy this week. I will end up coaching Variatus. I'm gonna ask him how to. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna ask him how to say it too. So I'm hoping this week we'll get to it. Who's next? Nobody else?
I coached not this week. It was last week, I think, before the show, but we didn't get around to talking about it. I coached Ronka, Motts, Miranda. Pick one of those three. We actually had a pretty good coaching session. She was like, "Yeah, me and Cinder, we went over some stuff." It's like she's already like a solid player by herself, and she's like, "Yeah, we went over like some relatively high level stuff." She said I had some trouble managing the clock, and I was like, "Yo, dog, I've made a card playing career over managing my clock better than my opponent because I hit the face." So we worked on that, and then like halfway through the session, I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna teach you how to read hands because you're about to like see the Matrix code right now. You're about to get so much better at Hearthstone." And I taught her like how to read hands, and I gave her some stuff on like how to practice it, and she's like, "Holy crap! How did you know that he had exactly Bloodlust and then the other card?" I was like, "I don't know. You just got to read his hand. You got to pay attention to the mulligan and all this other stuff." So yeah, we went over that, and I gave her a bunch of stuff to work on. Then we're gonna be do another coaching session. We're gonna follow up with that. So she seemed to enjoy it, and I hope it helped her because that's like some really high level stuff that really like helps her play a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like the fact that everyone's getting something out of it, and not only this, but we're getting to know some of our listeners too. So that's it's nice to make friends, and hopefully BlizzCon coming up here. If Pat and I get in, we'll be able to meet some people too.
We'll find a way.
And funny enough, like this was Starlax's first time coaching because I think he had just subscribed last month, and when he was done, he's like, "Was that my only one?" And I'm like, "No, dog. Like once a month, man. You get it. Like you're a patron. You get it now." So he was really excited to get to learn that he could do it once every single month.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna try and get in contact with you tomorrow. The left hand. If you're out there, hit me up, buddy. I've been trying to find you.
and Hat's on the list too. He's going to do some coachings here pretty soon too, I believe. Have you scheduled it yet, or?
Does anyone want me?
I think we have.
I get to go to the prom?
You get to go to the prom.
Let's look at the coaching list.
Yeah, we got a dank spreadsheet now.
Yeah, dog. Yeah. Big Crazy Gamer. He's like our oldest patron. He wants the hat.
Oh man, that's right. Because he just added me to his list. I've been on vacation the whole weekend. I just get back, and now I get to coach somebody.
Yeah, I did him last time. He's
so much fun.
He is a big old sweetheart. I love that dude.
I'm going to write down after the game to get in touch with Eric.
There you go.
Sounds good.
All right. So that's pretty much does it for coaching. We're not going to go into detail every week, but if something stuck out we want to mention, maybe we'll mention it during the show. We'll try and get in touch with our patrons to see if we can mention it too. We just thought it'd be fun to go over this week. But let's go into the news here. All right. So there's news. But there's no news. News is the journey to Ngoro, but no other really news other than that. Actually, I just came across something today. Have you guys figured out how to make the volcano erupt?
No,
I saw that.
I saw it had like something to do with like the musical tones
is.
Scattered throughout the map. Because I was clicking on them and I was like, yo, these are notes.
So I'm not going to spoil it. But basically, there was a blue post by Mike Donay in a response to someone saying that you've missed the volcano going off secret, because they were kind of like hey, this is really cool, but it's kind of anticlimactic. Nothing real cool. Like before, you got to play with lava and things would come out, but what's the deal with this one? And uh, they said they responded, we'll literally never know. But they got back to him and they said the sound team added it so you have to understand a bit about music to find it. So the only hint I'm going to mention is it's on the bottom right. If you play around with different sounds there.
Not Concede.
Which is also the
not
bottom
the Concede
right.
button.
Yeah, it's
not
above.
bottom right.
Yeah,
Concede.
no.
Well, no. If you're playing against one of us, it is actually the Concede button.
Oh yeah.
No. We're not going to tell her.
I feel like one of these days we're going to like get a message on Twitter from like a Blizzard employee, be like, "Yo, guys, you need to stop telling people to concede to you on ladder."
It's the name of the podcast.
Hey, we can do that.
It's the name of the podcast.
So we're not telling you to do so, but if you want to, we can't stop you. There you go. So yeah, go check that out, or we'll throw a link in the show notes here, and I'll throw one up in Twitch because we have some Twitch people here today. Woot woot. And yeah, that's pretty much it for news. I don't know if you guys want to mention anything, but just hey, let's go over our pack openings. So real quick, I wanted to mention because Cinder was really on top of my pack opening. Because I would get random, like one right after another, and then another one soon after, and he did the math. He did the math for me. Thank you. But I opened up 252 packs, I believe, and we averaged it out to it was 18 total. I had 4 duplicates, so that averaged out to 1 legendary every 14 packs, which is actually pretty good.
Really
pretty good.
Yeah, I also hate you forever. By the way,
yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but
I opened like 80 something. I actually like shelled out money on this expansion because DreamHack's coming up and I need cards to test with.
Yeah.
And I opened like 80 something and got like 3 legendaries, and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
rip. So I had to dust a bunch of wild cards.
If you go back and watch Kenny's stream replay, you will see towards the end that he opened a golden dread in front of me like the monster that he is.
My Swamp Bay.
My Swamp Bay. Get your own Swamp Bay.
So I did get a list. I don't remember who it was from, but I did get a list with it, and I've been wanting to play it too. It seemed decent. I've been watching Starlax play Hunter on ladder. He's been doing pretty good, but I don't know about now. We'll see.
Yeah, Colento's list topped out with Swamp King Dread.
Okay. Yeah, maybe Colento's then.
Yeah. I got a legendary about every 22 packs or so, which was not too bad. Got to open. I didn't open the Rogue quest, but I got double warrior, single druid quest, and I opened mage, and then I opened an Osrook and a Vorax. So 800 dust.
Yeah, you had a pretty good stream after your opening too.
Oh yeah, that was great. Like we just kept changing decks, and like it was really hard to lose, and so I'm not sure why, but like, and I had the sickest Mayor Noggenfogger ever because I got it. Did you guys see that?
Did
clip?
You send that in?
I did. Yeah. I got him off a Tortolan Forager against a mage, and we just had to play it. I was at 7 life with a Bittertide Hydra out, and so I play it. I had that was actually Mayor Noggenfogger was the card that completed my Druid quest. And so, yeah, so I played him, and I was at 7 life and I had a Hydra out against Tempo Mage. And so his ping hits my Hydra and puts me to 4, and then he attacks his Blaze Caller and hits my Hydra, puts me to 1, kills the Hydra. So I'm at 1 life and against a Tempo Mage with 9 mana and a full hand. So he plays, I forget what he plays, but he played some burn spell and it missed him. And then he played some minions. I play Barnabas, Nourish, Go. After I play a couple of minions, because I Nourish into a bunch of 0 mana minions. And I had lethal on board, but I had to get the Noggenfire out of the way and I had to not die. So he pings, misses me. He attacks, misses me. He plays 3 minions. My turn comes. I attack with Noggenfogger. It runs right into his only minion big enough to kill it, and then I kill him. It was insane.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was pretty epic. So, well, glad to hear you guys had some decent pack openings. Well, the majority of us, I should say. But
no, mine were fine. I was not sad about mine. My first legendary was a golden Waygate. I'm like, Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Which that's
the
good.
legendaries I opened were Priest Quest, Rogue Quest, and then I think the Mage Quest. And I was just like, whatever, it's not that terrible, I guess.
That's
Just
fine.
got like 17 more to go.
Yeah.
And I got I had like 3 priest quests. One of them was golden, and then I had the golden swamp bay, and then I had the I had the priest legendary. I had enough to where I had a decent amount. I crafted maybe 4 different quests for different classes, and then I crafted some epics. There were some epics I didn't even get. Like I ended up crafting Dynamancy, and
Well, why
I
not?
had and I had to craft what's the 2-mana spell that does 3 damage to damage minions for warrior.
Sleep with the
Sleep
fishes.
with Fishes. Yeah.
I had to craft both of those too, just to.
That's a
get
good
that.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with that Drake. After you play that, you could just
Yep.
clear out. Ugh, sick. So, yeah, I actually made out pretty good. After crafting everything, I have another 7,500 dust to play around with gold cards if I like, probably. Oh, and I haven't gotten rid of all of my golden cards or the duplicates. Whether I'm gonna get rid of the golden or craft a golden. We'll see about that. I'm kind of letting it all sift through and see what's good, what's not, and decide from there. But yeah. So that filled in our news segment pretty good there. Why don't we move on to the tournament news with Cinder? Let's kick it over.
It's the Grand Tournament!
Well, starting yesterday, we had the Hearthstone Global Games. They have begun. We talked about the teams that finally got voted in last week or the week before. So there's some really amazing teams out there playing it, starting group play just this week. And yesterday, being day one, we got started in the wee hours of the morning with mostly AP and European teams. First match was Czech Republic. Oh, you know what? Before I do this, let me explain the format because the format is really good. So what they did was they have there's 4 players per team, right? And it's best of 5 series. The team has 9 decks. They have to select 9 decks from the 9 different classes. Each player takes 2 of those decks, and they have to commit before the match to an order in which the players will play. So with Czech Republic, they might have Pokrovac and then Stancifka, and then the other 2 guys, right? And those will be game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4. When they enter the match, they pick which deck they're going to pick, but their opponent doesn't know which one they're going to pick. So there's a little bit of random picking, a little bit of strategy going on there. And then if there's a game 5, they pick an ace player who takes the 9th deck against their opponent's ace player with their 9th deck, and they play the game 5 that way. So it's actually a really cool format because you get a lot of really great matchups with different kinds of decks and stuff. So I would definitely recommend watching this if you get to see the replays. I know they're on the odd hours for us in the U.S., but it's really cool. You should check it out. So back to day one, Czech Republic versus the Philippines is the opener. Philippines looking really shaky in game 1. I think that has a lot to do with nerves, but they did they get their feet under them after that. They made a series out of it. Dropping the first game was costly, though, so they end up losing to the Czech Republic 3-2. South Korea is a very strong team, beats Greece 3-1. Greece is a very popular underdog right now, so it's kind of unfortunate that they went down, but we'll see them some more because group stage is basically a round robin, so they've got a few more matches to go. Taiwan has a strong showing against Poland, beats them 3-1. Sweden competing against China. China looked really good going into this match, but I'll note that a lot of the teams are not in the same place physically. Like they're obviously all from the same country, but they're at their own houses and stuff. Well, the Chinese team is all hanging out together. So even though each player is piloting each game, they're all like in a huddle, kind of talking about the plays. It was really cool to watch. They went up 2-0, but then Team Sweden, that unbelievable team, they end up taking a reverse sweep and making it a 3-2 series in their favor. Good match to watch if you want to go back and watch one. And then Russia versus Spain. Russia absolutely crushes Spain 3-0. However, Spain ends up objecting to the match after the fact because they said that they got the wrong player order from HGG administration. They thought that Pavel was going second and Pavel went first, so they picked the wrong deck against they thought they were picking against two classes. They were picking against two different classes. They ended up losing the first match, and then they ended up roping every turn after that, trying to get a hold of the administration, be like, what do we do? Like, that's not the pick order that we were given. So at the end of the thing, they were very visibly very upset. Dropped the series 3-0, and the administration said that there's nothing they could do. And Pavel was good enough to go on Twitter and have screenshots showing that, yeah, we didn't cheat. We submitted the correct order. Something went wrong in the communication line. So very unfortunate drama there going on. But the Russian team is extremely strong. So who knows if a replay would have made any difference. But moving on to day 2, getting over that, Norway versus Finland. Norway, led by Diggen, grinded out a very close full set against Finland. Norway ends up winning that series 3-2. Netherlands versus Romania. This features teammates, ties from the Netherlands and RDU from Romania. The absolutely stacked Dutch team, ties Tyler, Mitsuhide, and Theo. They did not spare any ounce of mercy against the Romanian team and ties' teammate. They made an easy 3-0 set there. Looked unbelievably strong, I got to tell you. Next match, Ukraine versus Germany. Two powerhouse teams here. Like, go back and look at those team lists again. The Ukrainian team is nuts. But what is it? It's Dr. Hippie, Nyria, and Kalento, Nick Chipper. Thank you very much. One of my favorite players. Epic 5-game series here. They go back and forth trading wins. Gets down to the ace match of Kalento versus Super JJ. Ukraine ends up winning the match and the series 3-2. And the final 2 games of the day were the ones that most of the West were really looking forward to. It's Canada versus France first. Sidonia and the Canadian Dream Team lay France low. Nothing to say there. 3-0 easy games. And then the final match, the United States versus the United Kingdom. This was the big match everybody was looking forward to. The match of the young savages with Amnesiac and George C. Well, guess what? USA takes it 3-0 over the UK, man. They looked top-notch. Every play was nearly perfect. Really proud of the U.S. team and the Canadian team. Good job out there, guys. So I know Hat watched a good chunk of these matches, and I saw, what I could here and there. So Hat, what were some takeaway moments from the tournament that you saw?
Boy, there were a lot. First, it's important to note that Kolento won the deciding match against Germany, which is a very strong team, with Elemental Hand Buff Mid-Range Paladin. So I want to make sure we're aware of that. He beat Super JJ with Elemental Hand Buff Mid-Range Paladin. Worth your time to go take a look at that. Plays double Blaze Caller. So, yeah, it's a deck. It looked surprisingly good on stream. The Canada versus France match, Hot Forms, both the U.S. and Canada's lists of Quest Rogue looked a little outdated to me. They both had backstabs and eviscerates, which I think, oddly enough, do not belong. But they played well. Hot Form's draw in the Quest Rogue mirror match was Firefly, Igneous Elemental on the Quest, and then top deck the second Firefly, so that was pretty good. Yeah, it was super gross. But the game was actually way closer than that sounds, because France Torque had Glacial Shard and was going off with Glacial Shard, and had both Shadow Steps. It almost made the game close, but Hot Form got there. It was really interesting to watch, and then USA versus UK, I think, I'm trying to remember the specifics there, but Amnesiac played really well, big surprise. He was playing mid-range Shaman, and the deck didn't look great, but Amnesiac looked great with it, and he did kill off an Arcane Giant and a 14/14 Edwin by going Volcano.
Oh, dog.
Yeah, so
that's great.
It was really, really good. And the entire tournament seems to have almost that Seat Story or Trinity style of kind of the more relaxed feel. They're only playing a few games here. They're all community representatives, despite being pros. and they all put up these facts before their matches about each player select their own facts and put them down. Like John Bray's facts from the UK, all of his facts had the word egg in them. The facts that Dog selected were actual facts about the domestication of dogs. It was
Oh my god!
It was really fun. I think this is going to be a tournament we really enjoy watching for the next few weeks. And it seems like they're doing 5 matches a day for
5 matches a day.
It's like
it's going to be going on for a while. Yeah.
This is going to be really entertaining throughout the summer.
And I have to ask this question too: if you're a member of the Spanish community, specifically Spain, and it came time to vote for your representatives, how do you vote for anyone not named AKA Wonder? I do not understand this. Like it hit me when I saw the match. I'm like, okay, well, there's Evangelion, that makes sense, but these other 2 guys are like YouTube content creators, which is fine, but AKA Wonder is like the superstar of the Spanish Hearthstone community. Why did they not vote him in? I have no idea.
Yeah, I wonder that.
Kenny.
I'm so proud of you, Kenny.
No, you're fired.
All right. Finish.
But yeah, I'm not sure why he wasn't voted in, because he seemed like a very strong player, consistent performer. I don't really have a good answer for that.
Me either.
Alrighty. Anything we should be looking forward to?
Well, of course, there will be even more Hearthstone global games, as we mentioned. But this past week, Red Bull Esports announced that they are doing the Team Brawl again. And since there's a new set, they got to do the Team Brawl again. This is a lot like a sealed event where they're going to open up a bunch of simulated packs and then build decks based off of that limited card set. And then they're going to distribute the decks among the teammates and play a tournament. The 4 teams have been finalized, and these teams are really interesting. So check this out. Tempo Storm is bringing Reynad, Eloise, and their recent acquisition of Trump. No surprise there. Luminosity Gaming is bringing Zalay, Chaki, and Muzzy. No surprise there. The other 2 teams are interesting. Team Goat, so named after the Grinning Goat podcast. Merps and Adwakta, the 2 of the kings of Arena, will be there along with Hafu. So the 3 of the best Arena players on the planet are playing together in a draft format. Should be really interesting. And then the last team, Team PogChamp, I suspect Brian Kibler's name has something to do with this team. It's Disguised Toast, Kibler, and Sidonia.
Wow.
Now that is a motley crew if I have ever seen one.
I just hope someone says 29 for sure during the event.
Oh, every time anyone plays against Tempo Storm, that's going to come up loudly.
That'd be worth it.
Oh, and that is this Saturday, by the way, the Team Brawl.
Saturday.
Oh, 15th. Get your taxes done.
There you go. All right. Any other comments you want to make, Appa, Pat?
Not really. I'm gonna go back and watch
I
didn't see any of this, but I'm gonna go back and watch Ukraine versus Germany. It seems like it was probably a really good match. And then like the final, like Kalento versus Super JJ is like old school versus like sort of new school, like European talent. Like Kalento's like been in the scene for a long time. Super JJ is like last year onward, kind of, in a way. So I think that's kind of cool.
Cool. Yeah, save your breath there, because the next section here we're gonna be talking a lot. All right, so no iTunes reviews, no Stitchers reviews this week. So go ahead and head out there, mention something nice or something that helps out people who are looking for Hearthstone podcasts. So hopefully we are what's on your plate and you're liking it. So yeah, why don't we have a nice big fatty declamations here. And then we'll go ahead and talk about our emails as quickly as we can. Hopefully we'll get to them. So take it away. Right. So Appa, you were going over some discussion, and I know Hat did quite a bit of it. I'm sorry, still mixing hot, appa. I will continue to do that. It'll be a thing. So who wants to take it first off, just to explain what it is?
I don't know. Had did most of the writing. I'm gonna let you start this off.
Okay. So yesterday I drove for 500 miles, and during 10 hours of driving, a lot of that was listening to Hearthstone podcasts, and a lot of that was just sitting there thinking about Hearthstone, along with driving. And there's kind of a lot going on right now in the social universe about Quest Rogue. And Quest Rogue, it is not the first combo deck Hearthstone's ever seen. It's not the best one, but it's certainly the newest, and it seems very powerful, and it gets started very quickly. And thinking about Quest Rogue specifically and how to attack it made me realize we need to think about and recap and kind of restructure how we think about metagames in general, archetypes in general. A lot of this stuff is not common knowledge, even though it might be to us because we've all been playing games like this for such a long time and because we're so immersed in the competitive scene. But it never hurts to go over what are the basic archetypes of how decks are built in their general game plans. How does that relate to famous examples of decks in the past? How does that relate to game plans of how you attack certain styles? And then, how do you use that information to attack Quest Rogue, and how do you use that information to predict where the metagame's going to go? So I kind of thought about all that for a while, wrote it down last night, and Appa was like, this is good, can you just paste it in there, and then we'll talk about it? And here we are.
Yeah, because usually I write the explanations, and then Hat was just like, yo, I got this whole book.
Yeah,
I was like, yo,
it was
let's
kind of
just
like
use
a
that.
multiple-page
way
document.
better.
We pretty much decided as a whole group, because we've been hearing a lot of it on social media, Discord, like a lot of questions.
Me and
How do
Cinder
I?
have been in Facebook discussions about this with other people who were
Yeah.
not
Yes.
so thrilled to hear our opinions.
No. My opinion, though common, was not very popular with the original poster.
Yeah,
All
and
right. So
I think it's worth discussing. I think, to a person, we are all pretty positive about this meta. It's new, it's developing, we don't know where it's going to land, but right now we're all having a really good time trying new things. Appa has how many Paladin decks? I have no idea. But,
Like at least 600.
yeah, at least, and he doesn't exaggerate, so,
29 for sure.
yes. Somewhere between 29 and 600, some number in the middle. So, we're all pretty positive about it. We recognize that Quest Druid feels like a strong deck. A lot of this segment is going to be, it's not going to be us telling you, no, if you're losing to Quest Rogue, you're just bad. That's not what we're saying. It's the perception of a deck, like a combo deck, is very difficult to feel like you had interactivity in the game. Now, that's not necessarily true, but a lot of times when you lose to a deck, a combo deck, Freeze Mage is a big offender, but Grim Patron was probably the key offender. That deck was legitimately too powerful. Quest Rogue doesn't have that kind of strength, that kind of versatility, the ability to control the board the same way. We recognize it can be frustrating and can feel really bad to lose to a deck like this where it feels like there's nothing you can do. What we're trying to tell you is, let's think about how decks operate in general and how that means we can attack this deck in specific and make it so you can have interactivity in these games.
good point. Yeah, set yourself up for success, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
All right. You want to just take over and kind of lead it, and I'll, I think Cinder and I will pop in here and there, and then Appa and you can kind of switch off. Does that sound good?
Yeah, well, we've got a lot to digest here. So I want to start off first with, let's talk about archetype definitions, what each major archetype means. When I say archetype, what do I mean? So when you hear people say this is an aggro deck, this is a control deck, this is a mid-range deck, those are archetypes. These are larger shells and general philosophies that define a deck more so than specific cards within them. So for example, an aggro deck, generally that means you're building cumulative pressure over time through multiple small threats. A lot of times these decks have something we call reach. We discussed it in What Does It All Mean, the episode we did 5 episodes ago or so where we talked about definitions. Reach means the ability to deal damage without having presence on the board, the ability to deal damage out of hand. So famous examples of this, Pirate Warrior is the best example of this. They will present multiple small threats, 1/1s, 2/1s, 2/3s, so on and so forth. Then they play a bunch of weapons. Then even if you clear their minions, they hit you with an Arcanite Reaper, and they Mortal Strike you and you die.
Because their deck is just pirates and then charge stuff.
Yeah, just
And then
pirates
you're
and
just...
damage. All of
Yeah,
this is
pretty
pirates
much.
and damage. A good older example of this is Face Hunter. Face Hunter, same thing. If you cleared their board starting after turn 3, it didn't matter because their entire deck was quick shots and kill commands and unleash the hounds and eagle horn bows, and there were ways around it. Handlock in particular used to get around that by taunting up the board a low life total and then trying to gain life back and close the game as quickly as possible. But these decks are just filled with damage, and it's all about the incremental pressure from small threats put together. They rarely played single threats that were good enough. And when they have had both small threats and big threats, like Aggro Shaman, typically those are the decks that dominate the metagame, which is why people were so upset about when they printed Flame Wreath Faceless, also known as 4-mana 7/7, because Aggro Shaman was all about lots of small threats, and then also it got one giant big threat in the middle game, and it kind of attacked on all angles.
It just overloaded like the other deck's removal. They couldn't actually deal with it if you curved out perfectly.
Was that a
I
pun?
see what you did there. Yeah.
Was that a pun?
I didn't even mean to do that.
It's
You're fired.
you're getting infected. So,
All right. So what about mid range?
who wants to talk about mid range?
Well, mid range is just it's a slower. It's still a proactive deck, but it's slower than aggro, faster than control, and it wants to put a strong, powerful threat on the board every turn until you start getting to the late game where you just overwhelm your opponent. It
Kind of more
lacks,
sticky.
yeah, it lacks the early game, I guess, flexibility and finesse and speed of aggro, but it makes up for that in late game power. And famous examples of that are like Dragon Priest or Mid-Range Shaman. Mid-Range Shaman's kind of a bad example because you had the aggro shaman openings anyways.
Yeah.
Well,
But
there's
like
mid-range hunter, of course.
Jade Druid's a good example of a
Yeah.
good mid-range deck. Just every turn you're trying to slam a giant Jade creature,
Yeah.
and they're usually weak and susceptible to aggro decks because their game plan is just one giant creature, and aggro is like multiple dudes a turn, hit you. And then mid-range has a tough time keeping up with that, only playing one guard a turn.
And again, mid-range Shaman's the exception because it just played a lot of AoE, area of effect
Mid-range
damage.
Shaman was literally the aggro shaman shell, except they cut out the burn with like Thunderbolt Valiance and Thing from Below.
Yeah. And we're going to cover this as well. There were some famous exceptions to this. Typically, the decks that were good at everything got assigned one of these labels, but kind of could do the other things. Like mid-range Druid, for example. Mid-range Druid was good every turn of the game. It just happened to be primarily big fatty boom booms in the middle of the game, but also you would die at the end. So there are going to be exceptions that have a lot of these terms, which is why this is a discussion about general archetypes. We don't want to get too bogged down specific decks. We're using examples to make it easier to understand and connect with. But don't think, oh, well, this deck is a mid-range deck, but it played burn spells. This deck is a mid-range deck, but it had burst from the hand. There's going to be some flexibility because the cards you're putting in these decks are different, but general archetypes help you kind of come up with a game plan that works over multiple expansions, over different metagames, and into tournament environments as well. And next up we have Control and Mr. Cinder Ascendant. How would you like to talk about Control?
Control, and I am a control player at heart. I love control decks. Control decks are defined by the ability to generate lots of value over time. Control decks will typically look to get multiple cards of the opponent removed while playing fewer cards of their own over the course of the game. They do this in order to extend the game towards a specific win condition. So they're controlling their opponent's threats, they're managing their own life total, and they're getting to their own in-game threat. You'll generally see control decks have huge board swings before they close out late game. Like you'll see Freeze Mage, they'll freeze the board, drop a Doomsayer, make sure the opponent has no threats left on board, and then Fireball, Ice Lance, all that stuff to burn you out in one turn. Some metas, the win condition can specifically be fatigue. Thankfully, that is not a thing right now because those games can be very long and exhausting. But that is generally the game plan for Control. It's card value is almost like if I had to put two words onto it, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, card advantage has always been the heart of Control in any game you play.
Yes.
And Control Warrior is probably the best example Hearthstone has. And I know it's near and dear to multiple members of this show's heart. That was my first golden hero, and I know Cinder loves a Control Warrior. The best way to think about gaining card advantage is if you have no minions and they have 5 and you brawl, you basically just drew 4 cards by killing 4 of their minions. And a lot of times your hero power invalidated their cards. If they have a 2/2 and you have a hero power that generates you 2 life, they can attack with that 2/2 every turn, and you just click your button. You're negating their card with your ability without spending a card. So that's what control is all about, generating value. And Kenny,
since each of you did one, I'll jump in here.
yes.
So the last one we were going to talk about is a combo type deck. So this basically means the ability to win the game in a single like OTK, like one turn kill or a tight sequence of turns, like a nice setup into a turn, or a combination of cards played. So famous examples would be like Patron Warrior, Malagos Druid. What's the one? Aviana and the Aviana Kun combo Druid.
Yeah, Aviana Kun.
Freeze Mage. Yeah, Freeze Mage would combo you in at the end.
Yeah.
So lots of different famous combo decks. And that kind of goes into how some of those combo decks can be considered something else, like you mentioned earlier, where you may have a deck that is more control-like Freeze Mage, like you just mentioned, but they actually win with the combination at the end. So they set themselves up to win. Like you're setting up the whole game for your combo, in essence.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's where you can kind of distinguish the definitions between aggro and combo, because aggro is also trying to win the game in like a tight sequence of turns, like at the end of the game. But the thing with the combo deck is like their entire game plan revolves around like either one turn or like 2 or 3 specific turns, and if those go wrong, then like the deck collapses.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not really the case with aggro, so you can kind of make the distinction right there, because I know some people get confused with that sometimes.
Yeah,
like there's the Time Walker Mage deck right now, with Antonidas, Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's like a 5-card combo where you go Sorcerer's Apprentice, Molten Reflection, and then in the extra turn from the quest you go Antonidas and then Fireball Infinity. It's actually a 6-card combo. But like if somebody dirty rats your Antonidas, the combo is dead. You cannot win. And that's kind of one of the defining things about a combo deck, is that it's not just dealing all the damage at once. It's actually a specific combination of cards that you need to produce that sudden burst of damage to win the game.
Combo decks are usually really, really, really powerful, but also fragile and have exploitable weaknesses.
Yes.
For the most part, unless you're your Patron Warrior, then we're just the best at everything.
Well, the exploitable weakness with Patron Warrior was player skill.
Yeah. It was just play Patron Warrior better than them.
Yeah.
I think it also coincides with what you were mentioning, where it feels really bad to lose if everything goes perfect, like everything works its way out. That combo deck just sucks to lose against. And I think that
it does.
I kind of segue that in how you want to basically go into why we went over the different type of archetypes and what we're going into with the deck explanations here. I hope that was a good segue.
Yes. Well, and to put an example to that feeling, every time that your mage opponent has a secret up and then the Alex draws a targeting you, the feeling that I have, I can't say on this podcast because it's a family podcast, but that feeling you have when you get Alexed when they have an ice block up, that's a combo deck. Or when they play Anything Can Happen, and then you know they have the other one, and you can't stop it. That is a combo deck. So these different archetypes kind of go in a rock paper scissors, and you'll hear rock paper scissors referring to metagames a lot of the time. Generally, aggro beats midrange because midrange is slow and aggro is fast. Zoo beats Secret Paladin. Secret Paladin was not unbeatable. Zoo was really good. If you played Imp Gang Boss and Dark Peddler and Doomguard and all that, Secret Paladin couldn't keep up. Same with Pirate Warrior generally beat Dragon Priest. Midrange generally beats Control because your entire deck is individual threats, and you just play a couple of them at a time, and then they have to deal with them, then you play a couple more, then they have to deal with them. Dragon Priest beat Reno Mage. Jade Druid beat Reno Mage, because Reno Mage is all about, I'll kill your thing, and Dragon Priest always had another thing. Control generally beats aggro, because Control decks are all about, I go 1-for-1 with you, or I generate card advantage, I manage my own life total. Reno Mage would go freeze, kill your stuff, Flame Strike, Reno, and then aggro was out, and mage had more to do. For example, it beat pirate warrior, aggro, shaman most of the time. So combo, and I think Appa has a lot to say about this, combo generally aligns with one of these three archetypes. It's not its own archetype. A lot of these combo decks identify, kind of play the same way as one of these three archetypes. It's rare that it's its own. What do you think, Appa?
Yeah, so they kind of operate under the guise of one of the archetypes, and then they're also generally good against a specific archetype, depending on what deck it is. Unless you're Grim Patron, then you're good against everything. Because Grim Patron had it had Armor Smith, which the aggro decks at the time were pretty weak to, because they were running a bunch of like Leper Gnomes and stuff, and a 1/4 was just good against them. And then they had a lot of like long-term value and like Battle Rage and stuff. They could control the board. And they had the really high burst damage with Warsong Commander and Frothings and all that stuff. But generally, they'll slot into like a hybrid of like control combo or like mid-range combo. Like Malagos Druid was like a mid-range combo deck. It kind of operated like a regular ramp druid and then just started moonfiring you in the late game out of nowhere. And it usually beat control decks because it took a while to set up, but it also had a lot of value in like nourish and mana ramping and getting ahead of your opponent. It had low threat density, but really, really high burst.
It had Yogg-Saron.
Yeah, Yogg-Saron too. Jeez.
Remember that card?
Yeah.
I dropped that card on the board 2 days ago. It was a weird feeling.
Freeze Mage it's kind of a weird beast because it's kind of a control deck, but also kind of like an aggressive burn deck at the same time, depending on what kind of draw you get. And usually it's good at beating aggressive board-centric decks without a lot of reach in them. And it's good at beating mid-range decks like a Druid if they don't draw both of their Feral Rages. So it's good against Zoo because it tries to put a bunch of creatures on the board and it doesn't have much reach in the form of burn spells or charge damage. It only has like Doom Guards or Leroy sometimes and then Soulfire. But those kind of decks are really weak to the AoE freeze effects of Freeze Mage. And then the board-centric mid-range decks are also weak in the same way. And the mid-range decks give Freeze Mage a lot of time to set up, which is what they want to do, is set up like 2 or 3 turns in a late game. So they can kind of sculpt an entire game plan while like mid-range Druid is trying to even put stuff on the board to crack a dent in their life total. Freeze Mage is weak against Control Warrior because they can just press their hero power and then basically gain a card's worth of value versus them.
Yeah. Because like the freeze mage, the full burn combo was something like 27 or 28 damage. You know, it was a finite amount. You know, even if it was above 30, like just a few hero powers from warrior, and they were out of range. And freeze mage has almost no minion pressure, so that's like the one weird case where one control deck was just overpoweringly good over the other.
Yeah, and one of the reasons you see Freeze Mage in a lot of tournaments, too, is because while it's good against board-centric aggro and mid-range decks, it also can be good against other combo decks, like Miracle Rogue. It's traditionally very favored against Miracle Rogue, because Miracle Rogue is trying to, like, do all of their things in one turn and kill them, like, in that one turn, but Ice Block just says, no, you can't do that. And if they don't kill you in one turn, you can either, like, Freeze Mage or Frost Nova Doomsayer them, or you can like Alexstrasza your face after you've dealt with their stuff, and then just gain life back, and they're out of gas. Or with recently before rotation, we had Emperor Thorson and then Evolved Koboldless, and they could do upwards of 30 damage in a turn, like versus Control Paladin decks, or like basically anything that wasn't Druid or Warrior. You just couldn't let them go late because they were just going to sculpt the perfect hand and then burst you from 30. And that sucked. So that's kind of how combo decks operate under the guise of like another archetype, but they're not that archetype. So they're a really weird beast to like get used to.
Which is why we want to talk about Quest Rogue in this show, because a lot of times people don't know, how do I interact with Quest Rogue? What kind of combo deck is it? That's why we want to talk about it, because it feels so foreign and it feels so strange. They feel like an aggro deck at first because they play a ton of little one-ones and 2-1s and 1-2s, and then you're dead. So we wanted to help kind of provide this illumination as to what is Quest Rogue really? How should we attack it?
Yeah, so that's why we had a little bit of Hearthstone class for a little while.
Yeah.
A nice long setup into the real nitty gritty. All right. Take it away.
So, Quest Rogue might feel like an aggro deck, but secretly, it's a mid-range deck. It's the best mid-range deck ever once the combo goes off. Because you think about it, the early game, what are they playing? 1-1s, 1-2s, etc. They're basically setup cards. It's the same way that Freeze Mage would start with Mad Scientist into Arcane Intellect, or Ice Block. The same way that Malaghost Druid would start with Wild Growth. These are not the cards that are generally meant to win them the game right away. These are the cards that help them get to winning the game right away. These are their combo pieces. You can try an aggro with 1-mana 1-2s if you really want, but 1-mana 1-2s are not known for being good in aggro decks. If they were, you would see a lot more Goldshire Footmen, and that card hasn't been around for a while. So, when the quest goes off, your goal as Quest Rogue is to play as many 5/5s as possible. These are individually relevant threats. You can play them in large quantities, you can play them in small quantities, but you behave like a mid-range deck that just has more mana than it should. You can play as many 5/5s as your hand will allow you to develop individual threats. These threats are individual powerful. You can do a lot of burst damage with charge minions, with Stone Test Boar and Southsea Deckhand, along with bounce spells. And you can often beat large-scale area of effect. You can beat a brawl if you only play 2 or 3 5/5s at a time, and just keep pressuring with those, and then your opponent clears them, you play a couple more. Clear them, play a couple more. Very similar to a lot of mid-range decks, just a little bit faster, with those setup turns in the beginning where they don't do very much. So how do we beat it? Well, Appa and Cinder, you guys were telling me the first couple days, we were in this group Twitter message preparing for DreamHack, and you guys were like, this Quest Rogue deck doesn't seem good.
Yeah, like I played against it. Like most of my climb up to rank 5 was versus Quest Rogue because Dog hit rank 1, and then everybody was like, all right, it's the best deck. Let's play that, because like that's just what the Hearthstone Hive, any card game Hive Mind does pretty much. They just latch onto a deck that they don't have to think about, and it's easy, and it'll just give them just instant gratification when they hit the rank floor and everything. So they just picked that up, carbon copied the list, and I played against them, and I'm like, man, this deck seems like it sucks. But I was also playing non-control decks. I was playing like mid-range Hunter, and I was playing Miracle Rogue, which is actually surprisingly okay against them.
Yeah.
What else was I playing? I was playing another aggressive deck. I think I played a little bit of Pirate Warrior too.
Druid? Aggro Druid?
No, I didn't play any Aggro Druid. But anyways, the point is that me and Cinder and I were just like, man, this deck doesn't seem very good. And Hat was like, I'm rolling everybody with it. I don't know. Maybe people are just bad. And then I picked it up, and I played a few games with it, and I was like, man, I got rolled with this. This deck's either like not actually as hyped, like as good as it's hyped up to be, or I'm just a terrible Hearthstone player. I think I'm leaning towards the former. So we were just thinking about it, and we we're like, man, I guess this deck just kind of folds to like pressure, like actual pressure. Like you put a threat on the board and start hitting them in the face, and they're gonna have a hard time beating you.
Yeah, like I mean, the thing that I noticed about it, after you get over the wow factor of, oh, they bounced all their stuff, oh man, everything's a charge with 5/5 for 1 mana, that's so good. Then you realize that they spent the first 5 turns literally doing nothing.
Like you have pretty much free range over what they get to do for like the first 5 turns. So if you're playing any sort of proactive deck with any reasonable curve, they're gonna lose that game unless they have like the God draw, which this is the kind of deck that if it has the best possible draw, you're not beating it. Just let it go. It's gonna suck to lose to, but they're gonna go like pop my quest, prep the quest, kill you, and then you're going to have a bad time, and then you're going to go on to the next game. And that's just kind of the nature of the deck. But it has a very obvious weakness, and that it has a very hard time against proactive starts.
Yep. And then there's also like more control-y type decks like the Taunt Warrior deck that do pretty well against it because it'll just control like the little minions right before the quest turn happens. So they'll prep the board a little bit, maybe put some little elementals down and hope to get like 4 or 5 dudes on the board to make them all 5/5s and hope you can do nothing about it. Well, Taunt Warrior happens to run a bunch of whirlwinds and sleep with the fishes to do like 4 to 5 damage to each minion and also brawl. So like just every time they try to drop a big board, they just get cleared out. So if you can control all those little bitty minions that they're trying to set up for the quest turn, they're gonna have a hard time pushing all their damage in after the quest.
Here's the most important thing I think to think about when you're playing versus the deck, which is kind of hard to do because you're gonna want to concede after they pop the quest and have like 4 5/5s. But if you can play a control deck against them, because if you get like a solid AoE spell off and then like they refill or whatever, you can just like deploy another big threat because you're playing a control deck. Mm-hmm. And then it's probably going to outclass their minions, and then you can just keep doing that until you run them out of resources. Because after all is said and done, their minions are just 5/5s with like no abilities pretty much. They're like vanilla 5/5s, and if you can deal with them, you're fine. So the game's not over when they pop the quest. I learned that the hard way when I like popped the quest against a guy and I was like, all right, 5/5, 5/5, and he was just like, clear it, clear it, clear it. And then I was just top decking a 5/5 every turn. He just had like a 6/10 and like a Grom, and I was like, man, I'm just dead. Holy crap.
They tend not to have
Stranglethorn Tigers.
They don't have removal or AoE or anything like that, and
they're like all in on doing the quest and like rushing you down. And if you can kind of stop that pressure from them for a while and like set up to where you're not dead, because they don't really have a lot of reach, ways to get past taunts.
That's what I was going to mention too, especially with the taunt warrior. They tend to tech in the dirty rats too, and you're taking away their win condition. Like they're almost like what Cinder was talking about earlier with that combo deck. You take away the Antonidas. Well, same thing with Quest Rogue. You tech in those certain things just like you would tech in what's the new card that eats up pirates for
Galacta
Pirate
Crawler.
Warrior.
Yeah.
Yes.
Galacta Crawler.
You'll see those.
Galacta Crawler.
There you go. So those can be very strong in beating that combo type deck for it. So I think we're all on the same page where it's not as good as everyone's saying. I think we've gotten some numbers with it saying that it's not as good as everyone thinks it is, because it was in like the mid 40 percentile range.
Yeah, like it's like bottom tier win percentage.
And it just feels bad to lose against a god draw. So I mean,
and like you wouldn't think about it, like playing against the deck and like having it popped against you, you'd be like, how does this deck ever lose? Ever. Mm-hmm. And then you play it and someone goes, N'Zoth's first mana one. You're like, found it out, figured it out.
Yeah, there goes.
Can't win this one.
And
put them away.
It should be noted, we're not saying Quest Rogue is unplayable and the deck is bad and never play it. I don't want to give that impression. And honestly, the best way to learn how to beat the deck is to play the deck. And that's true of any deck ever.
That's why at the beginning of a format, I'll like make it a point to pretty much like play every available deck out there, so I know the matchups and I know how to beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the lesson that we're probably trying to push here is that if you're not getting a great win rate with Quest Rogue, evaluate exactly how you're playing the deck, because it's not just get the quest triggered as soon as possible and hopefully prep it and then drop a bunch of charge minions. It's not as one-dimensional as that. Like there are different ways to play the deck out depending on your opponent.
Yeah, like yesterday I was playing against a Taunt Warrior, and I got the quest off by bouncing Glacial Shard, not Firefly, and Glacial Sharding them out just by freezing, just make sure they couldn't remove my threats. And then once my quest went off, I actually prepped a Vanish after playing a Novice Engineer and a Biofin Tidehunter, just to keep their board clear and generate more resources for me. If you go Biofin Tidehunter, Novice Engineer, Vanish, you get all that stuff back. You get to play the taunt again. The taunt the Biofin generator is a 1-mana 5/5. You get to draw another card. And I was doing stuff like play the Tidehunter and then bounce the Tidehunter but keep the token to keep that consistent amount of pressure and just run my opponent out of resources. They weren't able to keep up. The deck, Quest Rogue has a lot of play to it, and I think we'll find over time the win rate will go up because the number of people playing it will go down. The deck will become more refined, and people will get better at playing it. It's an
I
intricate
100%
combo
agree.
deck. It's an
Yes.
intricate combo deck. It's not easy to play. It seems like it's just a bunch of one drops. It's really difficult to navigate a lot of games.
Yeah, like my first game with it, I went into ranked with like no practice at all, and then I just looked at my mulligan and I was like, "There's a quest, there's a 2/1, there's a 1/2. What do I keep? These are just garbage cards and a quest."
This is not a Quest Rogue thing, but it is I think it's relevant. Friend of the show, Ray C, just yesterday posted a guide on Taunt Warrior, and one of the things that he really tried to punch forward was you don't always play the quests. Sometimes you need the card, and you just got to get rid of the quest and play your deck as a mid control deck against a faster deck. Because if you don't have that extra card coming in, and especially that extra mulligan card coming in, you can really hurt yourself against faster decks. And I think is that also true of the Rogue? In Quest Rogue, is it sometimes smarter to just play the deck as is and disregard the quests for the opening?
I don't think so. I think if you mulligan your quest, like your deck's
That's
just a
mulliganing
hot
your win
pile of
condition.
garbage.
And
Yeah, you're
remember that I just talked about playing Gadget Sand Ferryman and my Biofan Tidehunter? Those aren't the cards you want to play
You
for
have
face
actual
stats.
Stone Tusk Boar in your deck.
Yeah.
You want to try going up against Pirate Warrior with the Stone Tusk Boar? That time.
To be fair, drawing patches in this deck way less bad than the other decks because it's just a Stone Test board and you play that card.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to touch on, actually, I was thinking about while you were talking, is I've seen a lot of claims that, like, from people kind of in the middle of the argument that are like, man, the deck's not too good, but I think it's unhealthy. And I kind of disagree on that. I think Blizzard knew what they were printing. I think they knew that you could pop the quest, and you'd have to build the deck like this way to get it to be popped. And I think that's actually healthy for a metagame. I think it's important to have a good, very good deck like this when it works to assert pressure at a specific point in the metagame and force people to kind of build around it. And then whenever people stop building around it, then it kind of can insert its way back into a metagame for a tournament or two.
Yeah, well, and what we're going to see with developing metagames, this is a larger concept than Quest Rogue, is that the first week of the expansion is almost always solely proactive strategies, because playing good threats and killing your opponent is always a good thing to do. You can't build a control deck if your opponents are all doing different things. You can't build a control deck that beats Pirate Warrior and Quest Rogue and Burn Mage and also Taunt Warrior somehow and also Aggro Druid. You can't do that. When the
That would be
metagame
the best Hearthstone deck that's ever existed.
Yeah, it'd be Grim Patron. So, but when the metagame stabilizes, we're actually seeing this today. This is happening today. Today is the day where Control Paladin is good. Show was playing it. No, yeah, Show was playing it on stream.
No, not Dog the player. DOGG, as in yes, sir. I agree with your statement.
I may have known that, but I wanted you to clarify. So Show was playing it on stream, where it's Control Paladin with no card that's a quote-unquote win condition outside of Tyrion. You just kill all their stuff, and then you upgrade all your minions with Sunkeeper Tareem, which it turns out is really great. As Appa's happy.
Really?
Imagine that.
Yeah. Odd. and then you beat them because you have cards in life and they don't have either. And that's starting to be a possibility today because the metagame is starting to stabilize. Some of the decks that people tried out but aren't around as much anymore, the first week or so, we're seeing a lot less Zoo. We're seeing a lot less Hunter in general, even though it's still pretty good.
I'm gonna correct you on that. We're actually seeing a lot more Hunter.
Really?
We're seeing, if you go to metastats.net and look at their daily deck population chart, Quest Rogue is plummeting.
Okay.
And mid-range Hunter is rising, and my brain says those two are very closely related.
Yeah. The thing with Hunter is, like, jammed like the 30 obvious cards in there, and now the
Yeah.
deck's like getting more refined because you can like actually tune it to the
Mhm.
metagame. Like you can tune in like deadly shots and stuff. Like people are cutting Swamp King
Yeah.
Dread because even though it's a powerful card, it's like not for the metagame.
Yeah, well, you top it at 6 most of the time these days.
Yeah.
And the meta is fast, and really, I think Blizzard knew what they were doing because Pirate Warrior was a mistake because it was a fast deck in a slow meta. Now we have a fast meta, but every class is good at it, except for Paladin is good at slowing the game down. But ultimately,
Yeah,
we
Paladin's
have...
like good again.
It's
I'm
so
so
Yeah.
weird.
happy.
Yeah.
It's
So
pretty good.
happy.
Well, we have a
Turtle
metagame
Man.
where every single class got powerful cards, and we didn't know it at first because this set was sneaky deceptive. But every class got powerful cards, and Priest is going to come around too. That might be the weakest class right now, but Paladin is in a good place today. We're
It
seeing a
is.
lot of really interesting stuff happen. So what's going to happen is, if the meta goes all aggro to counter Quest Rogue, which it seems like it's drifting towards, then control decks targeting the aggressive decks will come around. Then people will build mid-range decks. Elemental Shaman is a good example of something that might happen. There's also a mid-range Paladin deck out there that plays Vine Cleaver of all cards.
Yeah, better than
I
I
saw-
thought.
It's
Wow.
Nappa
better than
playing.
anyone thought. And so those mid-range decks are going to come around and play big thing, big thing, big thing, big thing, big thing. Nice Taunt Warrior deck. You played a 3-mana 1/4 Taunt. So once the mid-range decks come around and those start contesting the control decks, then first you can play Quest Rogue again. Second, you can play aggro again, and the meta will generally stabilize into different thirds, different groupings of various aggro decks, various control decks, various mid-range decks, as well as decks that kind of straddle the line and can play both and target other decks more specifically. That can't happen until the meta refines. So what you're seeing
Which
right
is
now...
this is why I brought up Quest Rogue as,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is healthy. Because in previous metagames, you would kind of it would shift like in 3 directions. Like one would go up, the other would go down, something else would come up to counter that one, and it would just like repeat over and over again until someone found like the best of a certain class that beat enough stuff and didn't have enough bad matchups to like be challenged. But that's where Quest Rogue comes in. Quest Rogue is like the key to making a metagame healthy. Because if like a best deck pops up that like beats everything else but Quest Rogue is going to eat it alive.
Yeah, like I feel like Quest Rogue was the third way or the fourth way deck, but it came first. You know, like, but it usually the meta stabilizes like Hat was describing, and then you'll see like this wonky like corner case deck that nobody sees coming, and it kind of it wedges itself into that cycle of meta Rochambeau. But like the Quest Rogue came first, and people were like really surprised by it. And I was surprised by it. I was like, wow, it can be really good, but it can also be really, really bad.
So I know that there's a question in here. So if Quest Rogue is so beatable, why is it everywhere?
It's the new
Because
hotness.
it's the first
It's
week.
hot.
It's
Yeah.
the first week, and Dog hit rank 1 legend.
There you go.
Well, he hit rank 1 legend
So-
the first day. It's really cool. Like, the deck is all these tiny, dirtly minions that don't do anything, and then all of a sudden you're dead. And everyone's like, well, I want to do that to people. Right? The first time you lose to it, it's like you just watched the spaceship take off for the first time. You're like, I want to go to the moon.
Yeah, whenever you win with it, you feel like you can't lose. And whenever you lose with it, you're like, how does this deck ever do anything but play stupid 1/2s?
So I think what I'd like to add is don't think that we're going down on Quest Rogue as it is okay. Don't
Phrasing.
let me rephrase. Don't think we're bad talking Quest Rogue because you can play it. It is a good deck. It is for a certain meta. I'm sure there are other ways you can play it that you didn't think about playing it before, like with the elemental, you freeze, you know, the minion and just pop that back in and out, and you're pretty much there, and you just throw out a vanish, and boom, you know.
Yeah,
go and
so-
watch
so-
a professional
so, like-
player play and
Yeah.
learn the intricacies and do that, and you'll see that it is actually better. And to Appa's defense, yeah, a lot of people are like, once people learn how to actually play it and understand where it stands and how it's supposed to work, its win percentage should go up.
So, the TLDR of this section, kind of, if I can give one, is Quest Rogue's very good. It's not unhealthy. It's healthy for the format because it's so good. and also so beatable. If you've thought that Quest Rogue is broken, it's not as good as you think it is, but it is very strong. That I'm pretty sure that sums this up pretty much.
It's sky is not falling. Continue as usual. Think about game. Build new deck. Shoot Quest Rogue in face.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. We summed it up. Some very broad into yes, do that.
Very narrow. Yes.
Put down the pitchforks for a minute and pick up your Pirate Warrior, and you're gonna beat it.
There you
Or
go.
also, you can pick up this shiny golden card I still have on here from last week's stream, Sunkeeper Tareem.
Oh,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I cast that card for the first time, I was like,
And the
I found my new love.
The animation's amazing.
He's so good.
There's a
Get that
lot
little,
of good animations.
Yeah,
in
there
this,
are.
and I love it.
Yo, the first
The-
time I saw
Barnabas
Barnabas the
has-
Stomper,
Yes.
Barnabas, he just like, they're stomping, and then you see the leaves come down, and by the way, the golden Barnabas stomps. He stomps
Yes.
on the
Hey,
card.
you get like these big like brontosaurus footprints that mash into the game board. It's so
Mhm.
cool.
I really like Queen Carnassus play animation. How
Oh,
like
yeah.
the pack of raptors goes into the deck.
It just runs into your deck. Yeah.
Or even the oozes just oozing onto the board.
Yeah.
Just
This set's great.
everything.
Ungoro's
Yeah.
great. We love everybody. Quest Rogue isn't broken. Welcome to the podcast.
We'll call it this land.
This land.
All right. So we'll end that section here and move on to our emails. So hopefully we can get through these pretty quick, and then we can close out the show. But
We're gonna rock the foundations of the world, baby!
Don't give me a false start on it like that, man. I'm gonna make you go back 5 yards and redo the play.
so here's the email section.
I already did it. Just go.
I thought you were making me go back.
No.
All right. So this is from Dan. Last year, I wrote into the show and asked some advice for hitting legend. Cinder provided a ton of information and was positive motivation for me to go out and grind the ladder. After some coaching from Alec at Golden Wisp and countless games, I finally came into the conclusion I was a dad legend player. Please forgive me. Have we written this before? Or
No,
I think
never read it on
okay,
here.
not on show. All right. So I never seemed to be able to get past rank 5. There just never seemed to be enough time in the month to play enough games. But this month was different. I had ranked floors to shoot for. I could play Shaman to each rank floor and then clean out my quest log with any deck. After the last tournament, I heard Firebat make a comment. Okay, this is a while ago. I should actually figure out when he wrote this in, but keep
It's
that
like
in
a
mind.
month or so
About
ago.
a month ago.
Yeah.
At least 3 episodes ago, because we did 3 spoiler episodes.
Yeah.
And we held them off during
Yeah.
the spoilers.
All right, and then after the last tournament, I heard Firebat make a comment that Dragon Priest was tier 1, my first love. The deck I started building since Blackrock. I was all in. I don't have all the stats because I played some of the games on my phone. With an 11-game win streak, I went from rank 2 all the way to legend. I can't tell you guys how thankful I am for this podcast, the community, and all the streams I watch and learn from to make my Hearthstone experience great. Thanks again, Dan.
Well, you
My
know
man.
what, Dan? I'm thankful for you because you support us in this community, and you're awesome. So,
Man,
congrats on that ugly card back.
Dan was the first person to ever contact me after I started the show. It was like after my first or second episode on the show, and he like messaged me on Twitch, and I'm like, "Who's this guy?" And he's like, "Oh, listen to the podcast. Can you help me get to legend?" I'm like, "Man, I don't know about that, but I can help you play better. You know, give you some advice to get there." And we told him, said, "Come back when you get legend. You come back to us and let us know because we want to talk about the very first Coin Concede assisted legend." And
There we go.
there it is. Congrats, man.
Very happy for you. I think that's pretty cool. I get the whole dad legend thing, and it can be overwhelming. So
Now
I'm
it's
happy
not
you got
Dad
there.
Legend. It's Dan Legend.
Dan,
Dan, Dan legend. All right, so let's get through this other email, and also if you'd like to write in your emails, send it to coinconcede@gmail.com, and we'll read them on the show like this. So this is from Scott H. Hi guys, thank you so much for answering my email on air. It was fun to hear you all discuss the deck and answer my questions. I've got episode 29 queued up and ready for my commute tomorrow morning. So this was after we went back and told him to go over episode 29. I forget what it is already again, but I went ahead and made the suggestions you mentioned on air to my Water Jade Shaman deck and ran over 20 games with it today. Almost 1/3 of my games were against other Jade Shamans, and I went 3 for 4 against those. Overall, I finished 11 and 12 with almost all of my games in rank 10 on the ladder. I think it really misses every fin is awesome, to be honest, but it's tough to leave out the taunts from Things from Below and Feral Spirit. Sadly, I only queued up against 2 warriors and went 1 for 1, so I don't know that I learned much there. One of the best plays of the deck is to have the small board established during turns 1 through 4, and then drop Finja on turn 5. He pulls 2 more Murlocs, and if you can follow that up on turn 6 with a 4-cost every fin, you pretty much auto win if your opponent isn't able to clear the board. Either that or follow up with Bloodlust. Again, what I like about this deck is how Finja synergizes really well with Hex, and every fin catches a lot of people by surprise. Anyway, thanks again. As a token of gratitude, I contributed to a couple bucks to you to get your monthly goal. Keep the podcast coming. Best, Scott. I think he was trying to actually get us to the goal for
the merch store
shop. Yeah. So thank you, Scott. We appreciate you writing into us. I'm glad we finally got around to your email again. So I don't know if there's any comments you want to mention. It's kind of out of date as far as a response from what we read last time, I think.
Yeah, we just really wanted to get to them and make those up because we said we would. And it was like at least a month ago. Before.
Like they released a new set on us. What were we supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's important to note. I think it's interesting that he took our suggestions into account. I love that, and then that he tried it out, and that it wasn't like a slam dunk improvement, and that all of a sudden he was crushing the ladder. Some of it may have been we didn't necessarily pick up how the deck played on paper from how it translated into a real game, and some of it may have been our changes were so significant. It sounds like the way that he was playing it before was pretty heavy on the burst aspect with the every fins and the bloodlust, and a lot of times, if your deck has burst or not, really changed your complete game plan. So we don't know if Scott was playing the deck the way that he used to and it wasn't winning as much anymore, if he played a new way and it was more effective some places, less effective other places. I just love that he tried it and that he got back to us about the results. I think that was it's really nice to hear that we made the impact, and we're still open to continue to coaching or guiding or whatever. Obviously not on this deck anymore because, Jade Shaman is in a different place in the meta because the meta is different. But a lot of times those small changes, like the difference between Miracle Rogue with Leroy and without Leroy, you have to play the games completely differently. So removing a lot of burst damage here, maybe the game plan of the deck shifted in a way that we weren't quite able to understand, or Scott didn't adjust to quickly enough. There's a lot of variables here, but I love that he got back to us with the results. And Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to work with us so we could work with you.
And this is actually one of the benefits for one of our Patreon reward tiers is a Deck Doctor segment on the show, which you send it in, and then we actually take the list, and then we play with it a bunch before the show, like at least 1 or 2 of us does, and then we can actually figure out how it plays and then make educated suggestions from there instead of just like getting it on the show and be like, I don't know, Feral Spirit's Thing from Below. It's probably good. Shove it in there. See how it goes.
Yeah, so that would be really cool to get that involved too. Right now, I think the only person that has that available to them is Variatus. So I'll take this time to say thank you very much because he's our producer.
Yeah,
he's
he
our
is.
big supporter. Woohoo! So actually, I'm going to coach him this week, so I'll be talking to him soon. I have a shirt on his way too, the Coin Concede shirt. So yeah, check that out. If you want to be another producer, that'd be awesome. Or those that would like to be a part of that tier, go check it out. Another plug for Coin Concede's Patreon. I'll cover the thanks here since we're already thanking people. So thanks to 7L for letting us use his cover, his Hearthstone cover, for our intro and outro. Check him out on his channel, which is linked on our show notes at coinconcede.com. You can follow us on Twitter at CoinConcede. You can like and share our Facebook page, facebook.com/CoinConcede. We have a Discord, which is at discord.coinconcede.com, or our merchandise store, which is also shop.coinconcede.com. So you can check out 29 for sure.
29 for shirt.
For sure.
Yeah, actually, it's significantly less than 29. It's like 22 or something.
I thought it was like 20 and change.
20. It's like 20. It's not expensive.
It's not
Yeah.
29
It's
for 29 for shirt.
Nope.
All right. So, yes, go check that out. And thanks again to Viriatus. Shout outs. Cinder, I'll have you go first.
I guess shout out to my aggressively affectionate cat, who apparently is in the office when he's not supposed to be. But no, my actual shout out this week goes to In Position. So this past Saturday, I was supposed to go to a Pokemon regional to play some Pokemans. And I decided that I was not up to getting up at 7:30 in the morning to drive to Mississippi by myself. So I skipped it. So instead, I joined 1600 Dust's very first Open Cup, and so it was very well organized. I think they did a great job with it. My first round opponent was In Position. I went down 0-2, got some bum draws on Hunter. What's new? But I swung back and I won the next two matches. And game 5 was a Zoo Mirror. I thought I had it. It was extremely close. I had the board, and having the board against another Zoo deck is huge. But he had Finja, and I had no answer to Finja. And Finja swung the board, and he took the game. So GG to him for sure. But after the match, he said, I listen to your show every week. I always look forward to it. It was an honor to play you. And I was like, you are my man. That is awesome. So you get my shout out this week.
Man, I was supposed to play in that 1600 Dust Open Cup.
Yeah, I saw your name on the thing, and I'm like, where the heck is he?
I opened my eyes that morning, and I was like, yeah, this bed is way too comfy. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
That's what I said about Pokemon, so I feel you.
Yeah.
What about you, Hat?
Well, I would have played, but I was on the beach. Rough life. My shout-outs are to, first of all, Evident over at HS Top Decks. He doesn't even know I'm shouting him out. If you ever see whoever posts all the decks in Hearthstone Top Decks, it's just that guy. His name is Evident.
He does a ton of work.
He does a lot.
He's a monster.
Having collected a lot of deck lists this week, I really have a ton of respect for the amount of energy he puts into it, those daily streamer deck list collection pages, and in particular, they have an awesome article they published, I think yesterday, about budget decks that you can build from the new set that are competitive with no legendaries. So if you are concerned with how much of the cost of investment it takes to get into the game right now, there are perfectly viable decks that you can play that don't have a single legendary. So
also, he not only does that, but if you go and you click on a specific deck that has enough traffic on it, you'll see a bunch of comments of people who are like, "Yo, I don't have Malagos. How about a Leper Gnome?" And then he responds to everybody's questions and suggestions. You always see Evident is the one responding to him, be like, "Yo, Leper Gnome's garbage. How about you not play this deck and do something else?"
Yeah,
well, yeah,
he's nicer
takes
than
time
you.
to respond to everybody's questions, if they don't have certain legendaries or whatever, things about the deck. So he does a ton of work.
I hadn't brought this up yet just because we're in the new expansion and it's really crazy right now. But I have seriously thought about talking to you guys about getting him as a guest on the show because he has an awesome site and he does a shit ton of work. Ooh, that's a bleep. So I'd love to have him on the show. So if you're listening, Evident, reach out to us and maybe we can hook you up.
Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, that's, when you open your phone and your commonly accessed sites are on the front of the browser, that's number 3. So
yeah, it's number 2, I think, because I check it every day. Because it's just a good reference going into an open format. So him having all that stuff up there is nuts.
Much respect to
I don't want to
person.
do that myself, so I'm gonna make him do it.
I mean, I do want to do that myself, and he makes me look bad. So much respect to a person that can put that kind of content and that kind of back end together. And the other person I want to shout is not a person; it's an entity. Blizzard, I love you. You made an exceptional expansion. I haven't had this much fun playing Hearthstone since the game came out. So much props for Ungoro. Very impressed.
I haven't had this much fun playing since I started. But little did I know, when I started the game, it was absolutely terrible because I built Midrange Hunter, and then I got to experience firsthand what Warsong Commander did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have been hearing that sentiment all over the social media of Hearthstone, that people are just having so much fun with this expansion, and
Yeah,
I
it's
concur.
great. I mean, like
Yeah.
when we get into like serious testing for DreamHack, like the next like couple weeks we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Just like finding out new stuff.
And
Um,
there's like 40 viable decks right now.
seriously.
so to not let this drag on too long, I'm gonna get my shout outs. First one is to Hat for basically doing the explanations for me, which is great because usually I think about them all week and then I write them down right before the show. And then that's how I come up with explanations. But I am exhausted today and I feel like a zombie, and I am very appreciative of Hat for doing that. So I wouldn't have to do it and want to, I don't even know, lay in traffic.
Yeah, no. So that you'll feel more clear when you're on ladder at 2 a.m. today.
No, I'm going to bed, dude. There's no way I'm on ladder tonight. My eyes are on fire. I'm so tired. What was my second shout out gonna be? I can't remember.
I don't know.
It was Hat, and then it was
Uh,
oh, to shout out to Show for spreading the good word of the
Yeah.
Subkeeper. My
There you
boy.
go. So I guess that leaves me. I'm gonna shout out to my fellow co-hosts here because they're pushing it back a little bit today for me because I've been busy. Had to literally just got back from baseball practice. That's normally not on our recording days. Left practice early to get here too for you guys, so compromise. But and especially because you're tired. But I also wanted to shout out to those that showed up in our Twitch chat. We have Wrinkleoid,
Yay!
Sam's, Life Ruiner HS, Vagrant,
That name still
Apex.
gets me.
He's a nice guy.
I know.
Apex Predator. So we had some others here that may have left. Let me double check.
El Cazador.
Skaven. The Avatar. I can't speak.
The Abator.
Avatar.
You heard me
and,
roll an R and you got jealous.
Yes. All right, and that's if I forgot you, I'm sorry. But thanks for showing up. Oh, and I hope we had who was it? Joshua Brist who messaged us on Twitter. He was asking when we were going live. I think Wrinkleoid actually was feeling sick to join us this during our show this week. So yeah. Thank you so much. That pretty much does it for our show. Let's give our shout or our contact info here, real quick. Like Hat. Let's start with you.
You can find me far too frequently on Twitter at ridiculoushat. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/ridiculoushat. And if you're in the Discord, I basically constantly exist there in all forms. So feel free to just mention me in Discord. Yeah, Cinder's in there and Appa drifts in.
He does.
Yeah, and Kenny's there when he's not being baseball dad.
I'll go through like phases of being in there for like days at a time, and then I'll just like zone out into the fourth dimension for like 2 days, and then I'll come back in and be like, "What's up, guys?" Pick up where I left off.
I tend to be in Discord more than I play Hearthstone. I'll say that.
Yeah, same.
Because I can check my phone. But all right. So Appa, how about you?
Where can people find me?
Yeah.
Yes.
In bed for the next 12 hours. That's where I'll be.
I hope they don't find you there. That'd be weird.
Well, that's where I'm gonna be, or on Twitter at CycloneAppa, or in Discord, posting a bunch of chipmunk emojis, as is my thing now. That's just the thing. I just post a bunch of chipmunks. Yes. Or on Twitch, twitch.tv/AppaHS. I don't know when I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna do it eventually. It's probably gonna be like this weekend or something. I don't want to stream too much DreamHack Austin prep, but I'm gonna stream a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna be on there eventually.
Great. And Cinder?
If you want to follow me on Twitter and hopefully catch my next blast off into orbit after falling off the face of the planet, you should follow me at Cinder Ascendant. Or if you just want to go back to this morning at about 1:30 in the morning, and you can see a transcript of it. It was kind of I think it was funny.
It was top tier internet this morning.
I won 7 internets last night. And then you can follow me on Twitch at Cinder Ascendant. I should stream more because I do not tilt on stream. I don't know what it is. It's like an audience or
Yo,
what,
you
I don't
don't
know.
you don't tilt in person in tournaments either. Even
No,
when
I love
blew
tournaments.
you out at the tavern,
I thought it was
the Tavern
fun.
Hero thing, like the most savage blowout like I've ever seen. Just the
And then
most
I hugged
brute
you.
draw. You were just like, yo, good game. I'm like, that wasn't even close to a good game. I don't know who he's talking about. That was like not fair.
Yeah, I even like I saw you like give a little fist pump after something, and I'm like, I saw that over there. No, dude, I love tournaments. Ladder can be a struggle though.
Yeah, that's the same way with me, honestly. Like ladder is way more like just frustrating for me in tournaments. I don't know why.
Because they take away a gold star when you lose.
I know, bastards.
Probably it.
Yeah.
Bastard people.
All right, and that leaves me. So KCCO_gamer on both Twitter and Twitch. And yeah, I'm sure people have been adding me randomly. I'm like, how do I know you? Just make sure if you add me or I say hey after I add you and I see you on, say how you found me or how you know, so I know where you're from, or I could say, oh, this is a Concede listener, or I could leave a note or something.
If you see, like, I post my tag in Discord sometimes because people ask, or like I offer advice or whatever. Sometimes people add me, and recently I had like 6 friend requests. I'm not sure where they all came from. I know at least 4 of them came from people who were really mad at me on ladder.
Yep.
Yeah, if you really want to stay a friend and survive the purge, just say, hey, this is who I am. Please don't purge me.
Yeah, we can make a little note as to how we know you.
Yeah. Alrighty, so that pretty much does it. All I'm gonna leave us with this night is keep calm and chive on, and if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Have bested.
I choose death.
You win this one.
I concede.
You win this time.
Well fought.
I concede. You win this one, friend.
The victory is yours.
I give.